Alright guys, I'm making another video, and this video is going to be on my 1997 Yamaha Timberwolf. Now this Timberwolf I've owned for about 6 months, and it's done fairly alright in my time. And now I'll come get this beautiful camera. By the way, trees make great camera holders. But this is my 97 Yamaha Timberwolf 2-wheel drive. This was something I bought and had to fix a lot of. So I'm going to do a 6-month review on this bike. Would I recommend buying this? The answer to that question depends on how much money do you have, what are you planning to do with it, and another thing that depends on is, are they readily available in your area? In Mississippi, you can find these 4-wheelers for a dime a dozen. They're not hard to find at all, except maybe a little bit in the summertime, but all 4-wheelers are in the summertime. Question number 2, do you have any mechanical skill? Because most of the time, if you find one of these for cheap, it's going to have some problems. Like this one, I've replaced the cylinder and head. I replaced the intake. Now that was not necessary. I just put a racing intake on there, then a 30mm racing carburetor, and you know, custom air box. And then I went through and I've done a couple other things like custom exhaust and the tires and wheels on it that I have. So yeah, you got to have a little bit of mechanical skill to probably find one of these for cheap. I found mine for $350. And it smoked. So there's your answer to that. What do you plan to do with it? Because these quads can only do so much. I've went mud riding with this one, and it's kind of impressive in a mud hole for a 2-wheel drive, just because how light it is. But still, even at its lightness, this 4-wheeler is still a 250. It's actually a 230, and it does not have a whole bunch of power, which means it's not very good at turning a big tire. And it doesn't clear big tires very well easily. As you can see, my tire's been rubbing the exhaust. But, yeah, which means if you really want to go mud riding, really the biggest you could go without having to modify anything like I did. I made custom brackets to hold the fenders and everything. So without having to modify anything, you could probably go to a 24 that's really aggressive. And that's about it. So, yeah, it just depends on what you want to do with it. Could you use this as kind of a sport quad? Most likely. I liked mine when I had it on drift slicks. It was fun. It will be powerful enough to be kind of competitive, but still, your top speed is around 40 miles an hour, so don't expect it to be good on the road. It's better for trails. And if you want to do any type of jumping, I would recommend upgrading the suspension, because this thing rides like a freaking tank. It's stiff. Luckily, they made this motor all the way up till 2009. They made it from 83 to 2009, which means this motor parts are extremely available. But the problem is they only made a Timberwolf for 8 years, 92 to 2000, which means plastics and stuff like plastic parts, frame bits are harder to find. Now, of course, this does share a lot of frame components with the Yamaha Bear Tracker, the Yamaha 250 Bruin, the Yamaha 250 Big Bear. It does share frame components with them, so some parts are more readily available than others, but like plastic seats, you know, gas tanks, they get a little bit harder to find. Mine has been, I've done a lot. I had to put a battery in it too, and a new starter. But even at that, it still runs good, and it's an older quad, so it does pretty good. So now we're gonna ride it. Even with this being a 22-year-old quad and it being a 250, Yamaha did design this engine with a lot of thought in mind. So it it does make a good bit of power for a 250. It makes 21 horsepower, which is technically the same amount of horsepower my 350 Rancher makes. But since it is only a 250, it's not a very torquey motor, which means you're always in a higher RPM. If you want to do any type of hill climbing, especially on a 25, even in low gears. This one runs fairly good, but also I've put a carburetor intake exhaust, cylinder piston and head on it, so it has no reason not to run good. As I was saying earlier, this thing rides rough, so be expected to either have a soft butt or fix the suspension. They do run fairly quiet, but once you get up the top end, they get very noisy. And that's not just mine. I've watched videos on them, they all do it. I've had mine up to 42 on 25, so if that gives you a reference, my recommended tire for this bike would be a 23 or a 24 if you wanted to go mud riding with it. And for trail riding and lots of torquey power, you need at least, I'd recommend a 22, possibly a mildly aggressive 23 for trail riding and drifting. That's what I'm going with. I'm going back to factory because I'm trying to restore the bike. Yeah. Now, of course, most Timberwolves don't sound like this because not all Timberwolves have the same exhaust as mine. So yeah, guys, that would be my review on my 1997 Yamaha Timberwolf. Like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next video, especially possibly on this vehicle.